Hey everyone, welcome to today's interview with our upcoming workshop speakers. I'm Pete Baikins, I chair Gamification Europe, and with me today I've got Bernardo Letayf, and in a minute I believe we'll have Roman Rackwitz joining us too. I can see him on a system trying to connect, so I'll add him when he comes in. Here he is.
Hello.
Here he is. I can see him. Right, here we go. Add Roman.
Hello.
Excellent.
I was on the Teams stream. Sorry, I
Don't
totally
worry about it.
just clicked on Teams and waited and waited.
Yes. So these are the challenges of live streaming. So, right, as I was just saying, I've got Bernardo here with me today and Roman Rackwitz, and I'm delighted to be able to speak to you both at once because, like, individually, you're both bundles of energy. So I imagine together you're like Ghostbusters crossing the streams. Very dangerous.
That's a nice picture, actually.
Yeah. That's actually, I think, pretty accurate.
So yeah, if anything, I'm a little bit scared about this interview, in that respect. So
Yeah.
look, I'm gonna assume our audience don't know too much about either of you. So I'm gonna start by asking you a bit about your background and how you came to work with games and gamification. I'm gonna start with our latecomer, Roman, and then move on to Bernardo. So Roman.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, hi, my name is Roman. I'm doing this for 18 years now, but for 16 years we have our agency located in Germany. And so how did I come up with that? Let's try to make it short. I studied economics and I was very disappointed because when you study economics, everything you talk about is the homo economicus, so the rational guy. And everyone knows it's not true. Yeah? And this is how I got very fascinated by behavior psychology. So next to my study, I dig deep into behavior psychology. And there was one topic in special, that really fascinated me, and that's intrinsic motivation, because it's not new, but within intrinsic motivation, people can really perform peak performance in an amazing, so cognitive peak performance in an amazing way, and in some kind of with the characteristics that everyone wants to have. So it's not just that we have peak performance, but we are resilient, we are engaged, we can be focused for hours without being exhausted. So it's an amazing state of mind. And when I dig deeper into that, so how to create the perfect conditions for peak performance, research knows that there are two main categories where we are able to do that. That's being involved in a game, not just online games, but every kind of playful behavior, and performing our hobbies. And so this was my start to think about, okay, if this is true, if we can do it in hobbies and in gameful situations, businesses should learn about that and should try to create similar conditions. And as there was almost no supplier in the industry or in the industries, especially in the German-speaking countries, doing that, that was the reason how I started the company.
I think actually that's a very pithy and good intro into how you got into it, Roman. Well done. And then I feel like, And so Bernardo, your answer to this?
Well, hi. My story starts with gamification around 2000. I kind of mixed up the date sometimes, but it actually starts in 2011 when one of my students, I used to be a high school teacher, and one of my students came up to me and said, you know what, I know how to fix education in the world. And I'm like, oh, sure, yeah. What's a 14-year-old kid gonna know? Oh, he actually knew. And he said the one word that I needed to hear in my life, which was gamification. I spent the next couple of hours researching what I could, looking for the famous Jesse Shell dice talk, also watching James McGonigal's first TED Talk. And it just completely blew my mind. I ordered Reality is Broken right away. And I was literally, you remember in the video that he says there's 5 magic words. I am a game designer. and I literally stood up in the middle of an empty room and I said, I am a game designer. And then I sat down and said, like, okay, now what? So I had already been teaching. I used to teach Flash. I was an Adobe certified instructor for Flash, and I teach how animation and how to use the software through creating games. But I have been a dungeon master for quite a while. I'm not gonna say how much, and I loved Dungeons and Dragons system. So I said, this is what I would love to have in an educational system. I have always been against grades. I have always been against the measurement of knowledge or measurement of learning as a way of determining somebody's capabilities or somebody's abilities. And I knew that gamifying the system, like if it was Dungeons and Dragon campaign, that would change the world. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. And then I started doing it with Excel sheets, and then with this other, I added a little blog, and then I had to do it over email, and then I used paper. I did everything until I said, enough is enough, and I developed the software, and here we are. And this is my journey was from 2011 to 2014, the development of Tabi, and here we are.
Wow. So, okay, two great introductions. And I think that leads me on neatly to my next question. So I'll start with Bernardo, as you're in flow now. So what's the most impactful use of gamification you've worked on so far? Where did this lead?
Definitely everything that we've seen in school settings. That's where I've seen the most impact. Because the students are so used to the traditional system that when it comes a new thing where they are not judged, not graded, not measured by how well they have done for the past 20 years, but how good they're doing right now and how much they can progress and how far they can reach, you see the light come back into their eyes. You see their curiosity coming up. You see their incredible abilities. And by school setting, I do not mean only high school students or lower school students. I mean school setting in the sense of this is a space where people are now allowed to learn and thrive. And that's where I've seen the highest impact. I've seen numbers that go up to the 1000% of impact of change of behavior. Students who before wouldn't do anything in a classroom to being doing absolutely everything in the class. Problem students who would normally struggle with math would no longer struggle with math because they found different ways of approaching the issue. So that to me has always been the greatest impact. I also think that there's an underlying secret here, and is that the younger we are, the closer we are to this curiosity and this genius that we naturally have. So when we are reminded through a gamified environment that we are allowed to be this, and that we do not need to be standardized tested or all of this, then suddenly all of this starts glowing, and the flow is amazing. Just looking at students throwing information at each other, teaching each other, helping each other, just for the sake of progress and for becoming better, and not worrying at all at their grade or if dad or mom are going to judge them or anything. They're just focused 100% on making it better and getting better and making everybody else better. So yeah, to me, it's an easy answer for me.
Yeah, I can see the passion and how the positive reinforcement on you to keep doing it from seeing that impact, right?
Yeah.
And so like now I'm going to segue over to Roman, who I feel like maybe has a tougher audience than kids who are still close to play, but I don't know. So maybe
I have
adults.
the Germans.
You have the Germans. I wasn't going to say that out loud, but I was thinking it.
No,
so go on, what's the most impactful stuff you've worked on with gamification, Roman?
So, I mean, it depends a bit from a business perspective. I think really where we really succeeded is when it comes to increasing employee lifetime cycle. So helping them to keep the people in for a longer period of time, and at the same time helping them to make it more intuitive for these people staying at the company to develop themselves in a more effective way. And this is from a business perspective. From a personal perspective, and of course it's connected, it's that we were able to change the way how we design things that want people to get started to do something. This is what everyone has already figured out. Yeah, we offer extrinsic stuff or triggers and some kind of excitement story. That's fine. That's amazing. And of course, we are also doing that. But what I'm really excited with, and this is the impact that I really value most, is that we changed the way how we design things that help people to keep doing something that they started in the first place, because these mechanics are totally different. And helping organizations to realize that really changes the organizational structure often, because in the beginning, or if you want to get people to get started to do something, it's more about what's the result, what are we aiming for, and how can I get started. So it's both. It's you're focusing on the really beginning and you're focusing on the end. So the end is offering the relevance, the beginning is offering this entry, what we all know from games. So it's so easy to get started, and so that's the same. But what's really different is the middle in between, because by realizing, by looking at games and by doing all the research and having the experience for 16 years now, we realized that, yeah, we want to have it easy in the beginning, but to make something engaging for the human being, not for the rational thinking, but for the human being, is realizing that we need to offer them some kind of complexity that may be conquered. It's not this, it's worth staying here. It's not just that I'm doing, so now I learned something, how to do my job, and now I'm always doing that. That's, from an evolutionary point of view, that's the worst thing you can offer to a human being. So it's more like, it's worth staying here because there's enough stuff that you can still unlock for yourself, conquer for yourself, and progress, and have this path to mastery. And this, from my point of view, aligns organizational efficiency with human evolution. So with it comes together. So we're not working against our evolution by only trying to make everything easy and straightforward. And so this change in the perspective and offering both ways to design not just employee lifetime cycles, but also customer lifetime cycles. This is what I'm most excited about and where I think is the biggest impact.
Very cool. Okay, so now at first glance, I would say your two approaches maybe seem a little bit different. So how did you two meet and decide to end up working together?
Whoa. I kind of thought that was going to be the next question, and I was trying to remember when we actually met. Our first time we met, probably, I think might be 2015 or 2016 in Mexico. Roman went there to do a consultancy, I think, to the Goethe Institute. I can't remember.
Was it the first time, or was it on the Gamification World Congress? I don't know.
I think that the first time, or maybe the Gamification World Congress in 2016. I really can't remember now. You mixed up my dates. Yeah. But so that's the first time we met in person. And I do remember that when we had dinner, I was very adamant of saying, purpose is the most important of all the four motivators, and I think that they are the ones that drive more. Roman had already figured it out. I had not figured it out. I had been already working in Blue Rabbit with the progression mastery always in my focus, and I didn't know. I thought differently about what would drive people forward. I was already using what we believe in our philosophy is the best approach to gamification, and we actually had a short discussion, nothing major, and then through time, I kept proving that was I kept having his words in my head, like, yeah, that's right, and then a couple of years ago, I think it was on an online forum. I was saying some things or anything, and then he reached out at, hey, Bernardo, I have an idea. Remember something about NFTs? It's something that happened in the world about NFTs for like 3 months or something. And he had a very good idea. And he reached out and said, I have this. Would you like to join me in this journey and let's say develop this software? And that's where the first version of Tabi was born, and we started working on that. It's been in February in 2025. It's going to be 3 years since we've been working together, because we actually started reaching out to each other on February, I think it's February 17th, 2022, and we started developing this new software.
So you start working on a product together. Roman,
Yeah.
what does it do? What's your aim with Tabi?
With Tabi. So Tabi is, the point is by looking back at what we did all the 16 years and also talking with Bernardo and seeing some kind of, I mean, that's always necessary, right? If you start a venture with someone else, you need some kind of common ground. And we really had that. And so talking about this common ground, like he said, what we also did when we met in Mexico, but also with 16 years of experience, I had a lot of clients who were interested in gamification, but actually they don't want to go the whole way there. It's a lot of effort and it takes time. And sometimes it's because of ignorance. Sometimes it's just because they don't have the time for that. And I totally get that. Yeah? Or they don't have the right conditions for that or whatever. It's it's complex. And it's totally fine. But I was always thinking about, okay, what's the least common denominator? What all of our projects and all of the projects that Bernardo is doing and we are doing, what's the least common denominator of that? So that we can break it down. So a little bit following the first principle approach that became famous by Elon Musk. It was always already there, but he made it famous. And so we figured out that there are 2-3 principles that are underlying every kind of voluntarily or intrinsically motivated activity, and every game-based learning, every simulation, whatever it is. And so the idea was, okay, we didn't want to create a gamification software, but just a software that's focusing only on these 2-3 principles and help companies to make it very easy to use the software to introduce these 3 principles into their product or business processes or customer loyalty program or whatever. So this was the basic idea. And of course, in addition, and this is the adventure that really also driving at least me, it's a SaaS. So at least right now we are looking at it as a software as a service. And this is, again, a totally new model from my point of view. I've never done that before. Only done individual consultancy and individual development. Now that's a totally different kind of product. So this is what's also very exciting from my point of view as some kind of new kind of entrepreneur for that kind of product.
That's very fantastic. Just getting those first principles in front of a client and getting it on board. That's what is missing in quite a lot of projects. So I like that a lot. So obviously you two have used your combined experience to create this product. I'm not going to go into more detail about the product, but I'm assuming like you obviously had some amazing discussions. I think maybe you meet every week. I can't even remember off the top of my head. So you put together an online workshop between you. Can you tell us a bit about that workshop and why the two of you, what you bring to it? And then obviously after that, I'm going to ask so what are we going to experience in person in London from the two of you in their workshop?
Okay, I'm going to go really quickly through it. I think that the core principle that it's not that we're convinced, we have enough evidence to demonstrate that's exactly what's making it work, is to get the users to actually focus on progress and mastery, right? We have these, we've said this phrase so many times, you have to get people to think in a journey setting rather than just a goal setting. Focus people on enjoying the journey, not just trying to get a reward. We have lots of principles that were aligned. I had been doing presentations for years, and then when Roman showed me his presentations from years, we were talking about the exact same thing. Like stop giving people rewards and start using resources as your metric to get them to move forward. And as we realized, and we have both worked in different settings, developing different types of solutions. I work a lot on the explicit side of gamification, which is kind of like producing the imagery and making it look more like a game. Like I work with like game-like, and Roman has been working on the implicit side through the behavior of the employees and trying to get the players to do and to behave in a journey setting without having to invest all of this in the narrative of a fantastic environment or something that usually tends to be on that level of most of the time not taken seriously. And so we match it up and we start realizing that, hey, this is something that can be done, and we have this side of the equation and this other side of the equation, and you need both to create a compelling, long-lasting project. So what if we build the software? This workshop, and we already had the software. We have already been working on the software, and everything aligned, and you have all the elements to do it super explicitly or non-explicit at all, and still have all these principles go and play together through the experience of the users. And that's how the idea of starting a workshop came up. And a lot of other things have come through these incredible discussions, because we have been meeting weekly for 2 and 8 months, 2 years and 8 months now. So as you said, some amazing discussions have come up, and that's how we found out all these incredible common grounds where we can design this space, but with very simple, with a very not simple, sorry, but with a very structured approach. I'm not gonna say simple because it might feel that's different, but we split it into 4 steps, and each step is pretty clear. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then you get your prototype ready. So that's more or less how we figure out that it's kind of like a matchup of all the experience that we've had for so many years, and it just came up together.
Okay, so I like that. So you've got a structure. There's 4 distinct areas you work through to come out with your prototype. But yep. Roman, what would you add to that? Like, fill in some details for us.
So first of all, we really have to say that so we're excited to do that because I mean, it's always some kind of learning journey also for ourselves, because it's what's happening in our head is it's one story. What we are able to communicate and to help others to figure that out and catch up, that's another one. And so of course we have some kind of experience now by doing our master classes and getting the feedback. And it's always a challenge. And but what we're excited is that now we are doing it in person at your place, at your location. And it's really about with people that probably have already built some kind of their stuff. So it's more like for them, it's more like how can they use our knowledge and adapt it to them and transfer it? Does it still match? Perhaps sometimes it's totally counterintuitive. So that will be a very interesting part. What we will, and what I just want to add to that is what hopefully is really the interesting part in that is that, and Bernardo already said, the part between implicit and explicit approach. And this is what, I mean, I'm working here in the German-speaking countries, right? And you always can imagine that the Germans are serious, we don't play, don't think that. And so this is also the feedback that I got. So yeah, of course games, but we are serious, we don't play. And so I really had to find an approach to overcome that kind of threshold. And so it's more like, and so this is why I went into this area of this implicit part where we say, hey, we can still use the mechanics of gamification or of gameful design and playful psychology. And we can use that kind of knowledge in a way to improve actual software that you're using or business processes to make them more intuitive and help you to keep doing them with joy, but in a way that you would never think about, oh, it looks like, because it doesn't look like a game. It doesn't sound like a game. So so this is my approach. So it's more about, I don't want to add games in a particular way because I don't want to distract you, and I really don't want you to think that now you're acting like a child. That's the stupid German thinking behind that. And so this is why I'm really forced into that kind of stuff. But of course, if you're able to use the explicit part in addition to enrich the feedback systems, the visualization, the communication parts in a particular way, the storytelling sometimes, then it really becomes more powerful. And by visiting the workshop of us, you can get both worlds. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one experiencing that kind of, yeah, but are you sure about games? I mean, I can't tell my manager that games could be something to be more productive. And so you can get both worlds. You can see how they work for separated. And you can also see how to make them working together in a very powerful way, or how to get started with one world in order to make it easier for your customer to onboard to the idea. And then when they learned and got the success, then you can move them over to the other and combine both of that. And I think this is at least from my point of view, this is the power of this kind of workshop.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, obviously I want to attend. I feel like I learn a lot from it. But like from your point of view, who do you think it would best suit? You know, what sort of roles, what sort of people will really benefit from attending your workshop?
Wow. Well, we've had people from who are developing software, who are developing a business, who are working in the marketing environment, and people who are in the learning and development industry. That's basically the audience that we have got, and from the people that we've got a lot of interest to go through these workshops. I think that you cannot say that anyone who wants to do a gamification project, but yes, anyone who wants to do a gamification project who has absolutely no idea how to get it started, they are a great fit for the workshop, because one of the things that we do is we have a system to, okay, how do you start? This is how you get ready to start your project, and these are the steps that you follow. In terms of specific industries, I can tell you that if you're trying to build a loyalty program, or you're involved in the decision making of a loyalty program, if you're working with software, developing any type of software where you need to solve an engagement problem, you would be very well suited here. And if you're developing absolutely any learning type of solution, or learning gamified environment, if you're in higher education, or you're in lower education, you're in middle school education, wherever you are, these will completely give you a clear path ahead on how to develop a gamified environment for your students. 100% guaranteed. These audiences are fairly easy. I don't know if I'm missing anyone. Roman, what do you think?
I'm just thinking, if we're looking back at who were our customers most, I mean, our knowledge is based on the customers we have. And so, of course, the masterclass and the workshop are results of that. I mean, it's the stuff it's UX designers for their point of view. It's about instructional designers, psychologists, loyalty program designers. These are probably now it's over the last 2-3 years, it started a lot for transformational design, also that kind of change people responsible for change management, that kind of stuff. So I think, if looking back, these people probably are the most common roles in our project.
Yeah.
Well, I think that answers that nicely. I have to admit that also, I think, is a really good fit for the kind of people who are signing up for Gamification Europe this time. Which brings me, I mean, I'm conscious of how much time we've spent chatting. It's just always too much fun. Brings me to my last question for you two. Both of you have attended Gamification Europe in the past, maybe even more than once. Bernardo was definitely at the first one, and Blue Rabbit won an award for their gamification. So fantastic start to that. What would both of you say to someone who's thinking of attending Gamification Europe this year in London?
Oof. I've been thinking about that question since you asked Michiel, and you will not find a better community to help your projects thrive. Full stop. I can assure anyone that the reason why I have been successful in the gamification industry is in huge amount because of the community of the gamification industry. You will meet who you need to meet to get your projects done and advanced and fixed. And if you have any business problem, there's someone in there who has the solution for what you're looking for. And I've met pretty much, thanks to going to the conferences, I have had the fortune of meeting some of my greatest friends in the industry, and I get to work with many of them. I have worked with many of these incredible legends, and every single one of them, I didn't know that I could reach out to them directly, and turns out that I could reach out to them directly, and they would sign off my books. And I was like super impressed back in the day about how easy it actually was to get to meet the people who are on the top of the top on the industry, and they know, and they do have some of the answers. And what was also very beautiful is to know that many of the questions that I had, they had already had them, and they were, oh wait, we fixed it this way, but maybe your audience is different. And then they help you so much. So definitely the community that you're going to meet is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So the point is, let's talk names. I mean, I'm really excited about, this is exactly the community that Bernardo was talking about. I mean, you have some of the early birds there, right? I mean, I'm really excited. Marigo is amazing. Michael Van Oynen, Andrew Machewski. Yeah. And of course, then Bernardo. The point is that these guys, and this is what I can remember from past experience with these guys, it's no matter where we were and what kind of conference or what kind of situations, when someone came up to one of these guys, they immediately stopped and we talked, and they answered questions. And you can how do you say that in English? You can get your brain. So
Pick
their brains.
Pick their brains. Perfect. Okay, you get someone with perfect German accent, yeah, talking English, whatever. So the point is that that is always amazing. And then if I remember, if I think back to the Gamification Europe conference where I was, it's like I still can remember that we had thriving discussions within the talks. That's amazing. It's just like listening and things. It's like commenting, booing. I don't like points. Boo. Like a kind of stuff, whatever. And it's amazing. We had amazing, thriving discussions during lunch. So it was not like sometimes you have these kind of conferences where you stay at your lunch and trying to get some kind of food, and you have your plate with you, and oh yeah, don't talk, whatever. No, that was cool. I can remember that every time when the new session started, it was always some kind of issue to get the people back into, because they were still involved into, have you talked about this? What do you think? Whatever. And I also remember that when I needed to go to catch my plane the last time, the point is that there was still, it was really difficult to get out, because I had the people talking to them, then everywhere, hey, we need, I have this kind of problem, please. And we had a lot of amazing connections afterwards. So I don't have time, right? And I mean, this is so it's not just I would say it's not just this kind of let us say the expert conference of the topic. It's also really that kind of community thriving stuff that's going on there, and this is what you shouldn't miss. Yeah.
I like that. So one of the reasons for me is growing that community. So it just gets bigger, better, happier.
You can see that when you look to your conferences. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there and say, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, getting an insight into the two of you and your talk and your background. And can't wait to see you in London.
Can't wait to see you in London.
Coming.